There is a version of your life where money is not something you worry about. Where you wake up on a Monday morning and the first thought in your head is not about a bill, a balance, or whether you can afford something you need. Where the decisions you make about how to spend your time are driven by what you actually want, not by what your paycheck will allow. My name is Salami, and I have spent years studying the mechanics of wealth, the psychology of financial decision-making, and the specific behaviors that separate people who achieve genuine financial freedom from people who spend their entire lives working hard, earning money, and somehow never getting ahead. Today we are going through 5 rules, 5 principles that wealthy people understand at a deep level and apply consistently, while most people either never encounter them or encounter them too late. This is going to be a long one. Make yourself comfortable, because by the time we are done, you are going to see money, time, and your own financial future in a fundamentally different way. There is a woman I want you to think about. She graduated from university at 22 with a degree in accounting and a starting salary of $38,000 per year. She told herself that once she paid off her student loan, she would start saving seriously. Then once she got her next raise. Then, once things settled down a little. She is 41 years old now. She earns $72,000 per year. She has $11,000 in savings. Not because she is irresponsible. Not because she has made terrible financial decisions, but because for 19 years she operated on a principle that sounds perfectly reasonable until you examine what it actually produces. She spent what came in, saved what was left over, and told herself that the saving would get more serious when conditions improved. The conditions were never better. They were just different. You do not save what is left after spending. You spend what is left after saving. That distinction sounds simple. The gap between those two approaches, applied consistently over a decade or two, is the difference between financial stress and financial freedom. Paying yourself first means that the moment income arrives in your account, before you pay any bill, a predetermined percentage moves automatically into savings or investment. This is critically important because willpower is a finite resource, and financial discipline that depends on willpower fails. Financial systems that remove the decision entirely succeed. Contact your employer's payroll department or your bank and set up an automatic transfer for the day after payday. You will adapt to the lower available balance within 30 to 60 days. 2 people, same age, 25, same starting salary, $45,000. Person A saves $375 per month automatically from day 1. Person B saves nothing for 10 years, then starts saving $800 per month at age 35. By age 65, Person A has approximately $1.1 million. Person B has approximately $730,000. Person B saved more money per month for 30 years and ends up with $370,000 less. The difference is not the amount. The difference is when they started. That is the power of paying yourself first. Not someday, not when conditions improve, from the very next paycheck. The woman I told you about at the beginning eventually understood this at 41. She automated 18% of her income. She cannot get those 19 years back, but the next 24 years will look completely different from the previous 19. It is never too late to start, but earlier is always better, and automatic is always better than intentional. Rule 1 is locked in. Pay yourself first, automate it, make it happen before any other financial decision in the month. Now let us move to Rule 2, and this one is going to change how you look at every single purchase you make for the rest of your life. Rule 2. Understand the difference between an asset and a liability, and build one, not the other. An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Simple enough. But here is where most people stop applying it. They hear the definition, nod, feel like they understand it, and then go back to making the exact same financial decisions they were making before. Consider Marcus. He just got a significant promotion, and his salary jumped from $55,000 to $78,000. He is excited, he feels successful, and he does what most people do when their income increases. He upgrades his life to match the new income. His rent goes from $1,100 per month to $1,800. He finances a new car at $520 per month. His monthly lifestyle cost increases by roughly $2,000. The moment he drove that new car off the lot, it lost approximately 11% of its value. It will continue losing value every year while costing him insurance, maintenance, and monthly payments. His apartment is a liability. He is paying someone else to build equity while he builds none. His upgraded lifestyle is not success. It is lifestyle inflation. And lifestyle inflation is the silent destroyer of wealth across every income bracket. Now imagine Marcus had made one different decision with that $2,000 per month in additional income. Imagine he had kept his lifestyle exactly the same and directed $1,500 of it into assets. Index funds, a small real estate investment, a side business with growth potential. At 8% average annual returns, $1,500 per month invested for 20 years becomes approximately $880,000. That is the financial difference between lifestyle inflation and asset accumulation applied to the same income increase. The rule is not that you can never enjoy your income. The rule is that you build assets before you inflate lifestyle. Every time your income increases, the first question is not what can I upgrade? The first question is what asset can I add? Before every significant financial decision, ask yourself one thing. Does this put money into my pocket over time, or take money out of it? Assets first, lifestyle second, always. This sequence, compounded consistently over a career, is one of the most reliable paths to genuine financial independence that exists. The person driving the modest car and living in the modest apartment while investing aggressively is not missing out. They are quietly building a future that the person with the flashy lifestyle cannot even see yet. Rule 3, and this one is urgent for a lot of people watching right now. Master the mathematics of debt, because debt is either a tool or a trap, and most people never learn the difference. There are two kinds of debt, and treating them as the same thing is one of the most expensive financial mistakes most people make. The first kind is destructive debt, consumer debt, credit card balances, buy now, pay later schemes, personal loans for lifestyle purchases. This kind of debt has one defining characteristic. The thing you borrowed money to buy does not produce income and does not appreciate in value. You borrowed to consume. A $5,000 credit card balance at 22% interest costs you $1,100 per year just to maintain. Not to pay off, just to maintain. That is $1,100 per year that produces nothing, builds nothing, and moves you no closer to financial freedom. The second kind is strategic debt. Debt used to acquire assets that produce income or appreciate in value at a rate that exceeds the cost of the debt itself. Diana was 32, with $34,000 in credit card debt spread across 5 cards. She was making minimum payments on all 5, which cost her approximately $680 per month. In 6 years, she had paid approximately $49,000 in minimum payments, and her total debt had decreased by less than $4,000. She had paid $49,000 and was still almost exactly where she started. That is what destructive debt does when it is managed passively rather than attacked aggressively. Diana learned about the debt avalanche method. You list all debts by interest rate from highest to lowest. You make minimum payments on everything except the highest interest debt, which you attack with every additional dollar you can find. When the highest interest debt is eliminated, you take the full amount you were paying and redirect it entirely to the next highest interest debt. The payment amount never decreases. It redirects. Diana found an additional $400 per month by reducing discretionary spending and picking up one extra freelance project per month. She directed that plus her minimum payment, $580 total, against her highest interest card alone. She paid off that card in 14 months. She was completely out of credit card debt in 4 years and 2 months. Had she continued making minimum payments, she would have taken 22 years and paid an additional $47,000 in interest. The same debt, 22 years versus 4 years and 2 months, $47,000 saved. That is not a minor optimization. That is a life-altering financial outcome produced by understanding the mathematics of debt and applying a specific aggressive strategy rather than the passive minimum payment approach that the credit card companies are counting on you to use indefinitely. Rule 4. And this is the one that transforms your relationship with financial security forever. Build multiple streams of income, because one stream is one point of failure. In 1910, the average household had between 4 and 7 sources of income. Not because they were particularly entrepreneurial, because the economic structure of that era required it. Dependence on a single source was understood to be genuinely dangerous. James was a 34-year-old project manager earning $67,000 per year. He had been at his company for 8 years. He felt secure. Then the company was acquired, restructured, and James was made redundant with 12 weeks of severance pay. He had $8,000 in savings. He spent 6 months finding a new job. Those 6 months cost him his savings, 2 months of credit card debt, and an enormous amount of psychological stress that affected his health, his relationships, and his performance in interviews. 3 years later, James had built additional income streams. He had started consulting on weekends, generating between $1,500 and $3,000 per month. He had purchased a modest duplex, generating $600 per month in positive cash flow. He had a growing investment portfolio. He had a digital guide, generating $200 to $500 per month passively. Together, these represented $2,500 to $4,000 per month in income that existed entirely independently of his employment. If James lost his job today, he would not be in crisis. He would have breathing room. He would have options. He would be able to choose his next opportunity rather than desperately accepting whatever came first. That is what multiple income streams actually buy you. Not luxury, options. And options are the closest thing to genuine freedom that financial life offers. The practical framework follows a sequence. First, stabilize your primary income. Second, automate investment income through consistent contributions. Third, develop an active secondary income using skills you already have. Fourth and beyond, use accumulated capital to build passive income sources. You do not build all of these simultaneously. You build them sequentially. Every stream you add makes your financial life more resilient, more flexible, and ultimately more free. The wealthiest individuals in every study of financial behavior share one consistent characteristic. They have multiple income streams. IRS data on high-income earners consistently shows that people with net worths above $1 million typically have between 3 and 7 distinct sources of income. This is not a coincidence. It is the natural result of understanding that a single income stream is a single point of failure. Somewhere in the 20th century, the concept of a single employer, single salary, linear career path became the dominant model. And with it came a dependence that most people have never examined critically. If you have one job and that job disappears, your income goes to zero, not reduced, not challenged, zero, immediately. In a world where most households have less than 3 months of expenses saved, a zero-income event is not a financial setback. It is a crisis. Rule 5. And this is arguably the most powerful of all 5 because it is the foundation that makes everything else possible. Invest in your financial education as if your life depends on it, because in a very real sense it does. Patricia grew up in a household where money was never discussed openly. Her parents worked hard, paid their bills, and retired at 68 with a modest pension and social security that gave them enough to live on, but nothing to spare. Patricia assumed this was simply what life looked like. You work, you pay your bills, you get old, you collect your pension, and that is that. At 28, Patricia read one book. Just one. A book about index fund investing and the mathematics of long-term compounding. It took her 11 days to read it. That book changed the direction of her financial life more comprehensively than any raise she ever received, any job she ever got, or any cost she ever cut. Because it showed her something nobody in her life had ever shown her. That the financial outcomes most people accept as inevitable are not inevitable at all. Patricia opened a Roth IRA at 29. She began contributing $400 per month to a total market index fund. She read 3 more books over the next 2 years. She learned about real estate and purchased a small duplex at 33. She learned about tax optimization and began using her employer's 401k match fully, a benefit she had been leaving on the table for 4 years because she did not know it existed. Patricia is 47 now. Her investment portfolio is valued at approximately $680,000. Her parents worked just as hard as Patricia. The difference is not effort. The difference is not talent. The difference is the 11 days Patricia spent reading a book at 28. Financial education is not watching TikTok videos about which stocks to buy this week. It is not following a cryptocurrency influencer who got lucky and wants you to believe their timing was skill. It is not motivational content about mindset and abundance that never connects to actual financial mechanics. Financial education is understanding how compound interest works mathematically, so you can calculate what any savings rate will produce over any time period. It is understanding how tax-advantaged accounts work and why the difference between investing inside and outside a retirement account can amount to hundreds of thousands of dollars over a career. It is understanding how to read a basic financial statement. It is understanding what inflation does to purchasing power and why holding all of your savings in cash is itself a form of financial loss in slow motion. The investment in financial education produces compounding returns just like financial capital does. Every concept you learn improves the quality of every financial decision you make going forward. And those improved decisions compound over decades into outcomes that are almost incomprehensibly different from the outcomes produced by financial ignorance applied across the same period. Commit to reading one substantive personal finance book every 2 months. Not summaries, full books. Apply what you learn immediately. 5 rules. Let me give them to you one final time. Rule 1. Pay yourself first. Automate it. Rule 2. Build assets, not liabilities. Assets before lifestyle, always. Rule 3. Eliminate destructive debt aggressively and learn to use strategic debt intelligently. Rule 4. Build multiple income streams sequentially. Primary income, then investment income, then active secondary, then passive. Rule 5. Invest in your financial education relentlessly. Read, learn, apply. None of these rules are secrets. None of them require special access, extraordinary luck, or exceptional intelligence. They require understanding, discipline applied through systems rather than willpower, and enough time for the mathematics of compounding to work in your favor. The version of your life where money is not something you worry about is not a fantasy. It is a mathematical outcome produced by specific behaviors applied consistently over time. You now know what those behaviors are. Start today, not Monday, not next month, not when conditions are better, today. Because the person who starts today and the person who starts next year will have dramatically different financial lives in 10 years. And the gap between those two lives is not produced by any difference in their circumstances, their talent, or their luck. It is produced by the difference between starting today and starting later. You have the rules. Now go build the life.